Hey all, can you please confirm that I am audible and you are able to see my laptop screen? Anyone can confirm? Okay, thank you, Sarla. Right, guys. So, if you see that one, we are going to learn Power BI and PostgreSQL, right? And when you say Power BI and PostgreSQL, what are these things and how they are going to help us in our career growth, right? This is what we are going to discuss in detail, right? And also what are the opportunities that we are having with respect to the Power BI, right? I'm going to show you a simple image. Let me come to that page. Okay. Now, if you see here, data to insights journey, right? Now, when you say data, the currently, if you see the current world, whatever it may be, either it's in a education, business, or travel, right? Whatever the field that we take, or in our lifestyle, marketing, everything, lot of data is being collected, or we can say generated. Now, when you say generated, we are having some devices, sensors, right? Or automated devices or counters. Suppose if you go to the shopping mall, right? There would be a door that rotates. Now, it also do a counters, how many customers has visited but the shopping, right? Similarly, there would be some associate in the shopping mall where they come to us and collect lot of information about us, right? And if we are doing any kind of purchases, transactions, or if we done any inquiry, everything is captured in the form of data, right? Weather reports, right? That means data related to weather, how the temperatures are there, how the wind is there. All these things are being captured in different forms and different technologies, right? When I say different forms, it can be in the files, can be Excel, CSV, JSON files, whatever it may be, or in the databases like Oracle, Teradata, different things. Like these are like structured form. Similarly, there are some unstructured data technologies also like Hadoop, right? Cloud, Facebook, all these things. Now, what happening is a lot of data is being captured in the data factory, right? Either it can be organized or unorganized. Now, if I want to tell the same in a terminology that's structured, semi-structured, or unstructured, right? Now we are going to use Power BI to visualize them, right? And as a part of our course, now Power BI is going to be our major subject, right? And our main focus is about Power BI, learning deep into the Power BI, right? So that we can be expert in data analyst, right? A data analyst role. And we are going to be creating a meaningful insights or dashboards that can be used by the day-to-day operations, business users, or top management to take the business decisions. Okay. Now, in this data to insight journey, right? Who all are involved or what all technologies are involved? Now, if I go to the just one more slide, just I am baking this simple flow, right? This simple flow, end-to-end flow into the uh, different stages where which all technologies are used, right? Now, if you see here in the operational data, right? The first one, when you say operational data, the day-to-day transactions, right? Observations, right? If you go to any shopping mall, right? We will go to the shops and purchase lot of things, right? All those things would be captured. So all those things are operational data. Say someone capturing from the front end, desktop or laptop, and they are storing in the databases. Similarly, a weather forecasting system is there, right? It is going to capture a lot of data through the sensors, right? So what happens is, over a period of time, this data has grown in a way that it is hard to manage everything in one system, storing the data and analyzing the data, right? What happened is this process is like a revolutionized. So earlier, all the organizations are mandate that they need to maintain the customer data. Over a period of time, it is growing and they thought it is burden. But later on, the scientists realized that, okay, why can't we use this data to understand the patterns, to understand the customer behavior, right? To understand the sales trend, to understand where is the demand, new opportunities, all those things. Now, when the technocrats like started analyzing the data on the same operational systems, that we have the performance issue, right? Now, it is defined that, okay, let us inject all the data into ETL systems. ETL means extract, transform, load, right? And then analyze those data. That means store the data in the data warehouses, right? When we say data warehouses, I will give a simple example. Now, we know warehouse, right? We use it, we listen this word in our regular day-to-day life. Yes, warehouse is a place where we store a lot of items in an organized manner, right? Similarly, what we will make sure all the operational data is transformed and loaded into the warehouses. And finally, we are going to use these warehouse to create visualizations, right? And these visualizations are in the form of pictures. Now, I will just take a word like, if you remember, one picture says 1,000 words, right? I have a lot of data in files, tables, and everything, but on just seeing that one, I may not be able to come an understanding. So that is where Power BI is going to help us to visualize our data, right? That is going to give a meaningful insights, right? Where a business people can take a decision on their strategies, or they can draw their strategies, right? Now, in this end-to-end journey, right, there is different roles are there. Database administrators, right? Data engineers who are dealing with the data factory. Similarly, data analyst. Okay. And I'm honestly saying that we are focusing on the data modeling and visualization part. Okay. This is our main objective, that we should be become SME, subject matter expert for this particular area. At the same time, what is the source for our Power BI is different databases, right? So that means we should be having a good basic understanding about how the database works. Okay. And one of the key thing is SQL, structured query language, like it is a universal language. Whenever we say that, okay, boss, I'm a data analyst, that means we should be expert in one of the thing, either SQL or Python. Okay. Both are equally important. Like whatever the new technologies comes, right? Linux coding always intact. Similarly, whatever the new buzzing words comes, this SQL, structured query language, is very, very important. Without knowing the SQL, there is no point that we say that we are the data analyst, honestly. Okay. Now, the good thing is if you learn SQL, right, with one database, then you can easily work with any other databases. Just the small syntax would be changing or accent would be changing. Like English is there, right? Across the world, English we can manage with English. but there would be slight different in US English, UK English, or Australian English, right? The accent or something would be different. But that doesn't stop us to communicate. Same thing with SQL. Do we need to have coding knowledge for this? Manisha, honestly, we don't need to have coding knowledge. Okay. SQL knowledge is good enough. And when we see the SQL, right, it simply looks like how we talk to each other. Okay. If you want to something pulled from the table, we just say select. If you want to insert the data into table, then we say, hey, can you please insert the data like that? A simple, plain English language, right? So this is our objective. So our main target is Power BI. That is going to be our major subject. And it is very important that how our upstreams are working. Okay. So I want to make sure my students who are completing this course has an understanding, end-to-end understanding of the data flow. At the same time, they are experts in the Power BI. Okay. And another advantage of learning Power BI is since Power BI is mainly used for MIS report, management information systems, right? Where management want to know what is the final outcome, right? We would be having a close connect with the leadership team also, right? Say if you are a data engineer, so you are going to prepare lots of data and you are going to give it to the data analyst who is Power BI. He is also technical person. But a Power BI data analyst is going to become a bridge between the technology guy and also the management who is going to look into these reports. So the visibility is also very good. Okay. So in these lines, right? So what we are going to touch base is we are going to cover Power BI as our major subject. But before going to Power BI, we are going to learn about the PostgreSQL, right? There are different databases are there. Even Microsoft is also providing databases like Microsoft SQL Server. But the reason for picking PostgreSQL is just want to have the flavor to the team that okay, how the open source database works. Now, when you say open source, it means it's a free of cost. We don't need to pay anything to install PostgreSQL. Okay. And our main target is going to learn SQL and having the database. At the same time, another minor subject is data warehousing. Okay. Uh, just I'm giving you a hint. After the class, also you can try. Say if you open LinkedIn and try uh, some follow some data analyst or who are in the machine learning, definitely people are discuss about the data warehousing now also because it is like a Newton's laws. A data warehouse concept come in 1980s or 90s, right? But still intact, the underlying soul is same thing that, okay, I am having lot of data in the operational systems. How I am going to get these data into analytical systems, right? And make best use of it, either creating the reports or creating the machine learning. All these things comes. Okay. So our course is designed in a way, right? First week we would be covering data warehousing one class and PostgreSQL four classes. And rest of the 2 weeks, 10 days, 11 days or on the Power BI, right? And each and every class would be 1 hour or 1 hour 15 minutes. Okay. After the class, I am going to give you the project task. It is very important that you are revising the class, right? And starting completing those projects tasks. That is one thing. At the same time, the class would be recorded and uploaded in the YouTube. All the students who has, I mean, who has registered, right? Completed the registration, they will have the access. Okay, first two classes you are going to get it free. Don't worry about it. And the good thing is, since we are putting these videos in the YouTube, right? You can watch them at any time, anywhere, right? And you can start your practice. Okay. Now, as and when our course completing, let me show you what are the topics that we are going to cover. See, in the data warehousing that we are going to cover data warehouse concept, PostgreSQL installations, DDL and DML, that means data definition language and data manipulation language. These are like SQLs, and we would be understanding queries, right? And we are going to learn Power BI installation, Power Query, pivot, visualization, and publishing. All these things we are going to cover, especially when it comes to the Power BI. The installation is very quick, nothing to worry. Main focus would be Power Query, pivot, visualization, and publishing. These are all the things we are going to cover as a part of our course, right? And if I want to show you, just let me show you a small glimpse of opening. I will open PG admin and Power BI both in parallel. Okay. So the course is about $300, right? And as and when we are completing our course, right, we would be focusing on Microsoft Certified Power BI Data Analyst Associate certification. Okay. Our main target is to crack this certification. Okay. So this certification is of intermediate level because I know, right, many of you, I understand many of you would be working on different technology stack, right? And you want to switch your career or completely from different domain. So it is very important that we are also focusing on the certification part. Okay. Because certification is the one that tells, okay, this person has right level of knowledge and he can be selected for the interview. And the one that we are targeting is intermediate level. Okay. It has a renewal of 12 months, but don't worry, the renewal is free of cost. It's just like it will just put the exam again so that we would be completing the same and again we can renew it. Okay. Whatever the things that we are covering in our course, right, in these all 15 days, 70 to 80% of the details topics required for the certification course would be covered in that one. Okay. And a detailed flow that I'm going to help you how to practice this thing because there are some modules are there, right? So the first thing is attending the classes and completing the assignment. That is the first level of revision. Second level of revision would be there are modules are there, right? I want you to go through these modules and there are a lot of practice assessments are there. Okay. So these are like free of cost. We don't need to pay anything, but at the same time, you can take n number of times this assessment, right? So if we are consistently scoring above 80, then we can register for the exam, right? And I would be there guiding you for this exam. And the cost of this exam is around $160. Okay. And you can check your local currency. And this we can start registering once we are in the third week of the course. Okay. Any doubts or queries with respect to the course structure, course content, and the certification till now? Any doubts from anyone? Okay. Uh, I will take it as no, right? Just to show you what is the importance of Power BI, right? If you see here, what is the top business intelligence tools, right? If you see the Power BI is in the first place, Power BI, Tableau, ClickSense, and Throughput. These are all the top one. Now, what is the advantage with Power BI? Deep integration with Microsoft ecosystem. This is what I say. Now, when I say deep integration with Microsoft system, right? We all do daily, right? We all daily work with Microsoft Excel's, Power BI, presentations, MS Word, and all those things, right? Now, if you see how it looks, Microsoft Power BI, right? This is also more or less the user interface, the way you need it work. It more or looks like Microsoft Office tools, right? At a times you feel that you are working on Excel sheets, right? If you are looking into the table view, right? You feel that, okay, this is something like I am working on Excel sheets, right? When you are in the report view, it feels like, okay, I am creating a PowerPoint, right? And there is a model view. So the one best thing with Power BI is learning is easier, right? Because the user interface and all of those things looks more or less like Microsoft Office tools. So that gives an edge or advantage with other like Tableau, ClickSense, and all those things, right? And if you see affordable entry prices and premium, anyway, company will work on to the purchase. We don't need to worry. Conversational analytics via Copilot and natural language queries. So many of us has a doubt, okay, are we going to, what are going to cover and all those things? And definitely, if you see, we have the Copilot features, prepare data for AI, artificial intelligence, right? So now Power BI is also integrated with the Copilot and artificial intelligence features. That means we just need to know how we can use them so that we can make our work more faster, right? And market leader with 20% share, right? So think of it, if it's 20% share means definitely a lot of opportunities would be there, right? And if I show you, right, suppose I'm just searching before this one just to show you what are all the jobs available. See, a lot of jobs are there. So 8,000 results. And what are the topics that they are going to look? We are going to cover them. See, maintain, troubleshoot, and re-engineering DAX logic. Take ownership of metrics, definitions, logic, consistency. Inherit each dashboard in one time. Build, refine, optimize dashboard used by digital sales, branch, call center, and teams. Apply semantic model best practice. Improve the standardized templates and report schemas. Right? So all these things we are going to learn as a part of our course. Okay. Experience working with data flows, Power Query, ETL, and common data models. Ability to utilize Power BI tools. Experience with SQL and or PLSQL. Okay. Uh, Whatever the technology that you pick up it, right? Or tool, whether it's a Tableau, Power BI, whatever it may be, but SQL is going to be like a baseline. Okay. We are not going to skip SQL. And honestly, that is the reason in our course, 35% classes are allocated for the SQL only. Okay. And many people, many students ask, hey, I am completely new to the IT world or new to this particular technology, right? How I going to make sure that I'm going to get right level of training, right? So if you see my course structure, our course structure, first three classes, I mean, first week, we are focusing on the data warehousing, the foundational things, fundamentals. Okay. Uh, I'm not just going directly into the Power BI and start, hey, this is the Power BI screen. Uh, See, this is the Power BI screen. Please look into it and you have the options, drag and drop. No, not like that. First week, we want to make sure that you have a clear understanding about the basics and the fundamentals of SQL, right? and then we are going to enter into the Power BI. So by the time we enter into the Power BI, I mean, we start working into the Power BI, we are going to have a basic understanding like, okay, why I am pulling data from a database? What is the significance of data sitting in an Excel sheet or files or different databases? All these things we are going to see. Okay. And in terms of classes, right? It's like 1st December to 19th December, and for Australia, India, Europe, it would be 2nd to 20th. Okay, we would be having classes Monday to Friday, and which means for Europe and Asia, where Sydney, like India, it is Tuesday to Saturday. We are going to have daily 1 hour class, but we would be starting the class well before 15 minutes so that you can join and discuss any doubts that you have from the previous class. Okay, and I will be available on the WhatsApp. Okay, we would be creating a WhatsApp group, and all the registered students would be added into that WhatsApp group so that we can have a regular connect on topics and doubts. Right. So if you see a detailed breakdown of the classes day wise, what we are going to cover, right? Data definition, modifying the tables, inserting the data, aggregations. So once we are comfortable with SQL, then we would be starting with the Power BI. And within the Power BI, right? If you see the topics like DAX, wow factor, Power BI architecture, and AI visuals, all these things would be covered as and when we progress, right? Uh, Let me pause the. Okay. So the first class consists of data warehousing concepts, right? And now we all have a understanding about the warehouse, right? Uh, just to mic check, am I audible? And are you able to see the screen? Thank you very much. At a time, I just missed it to unmute or share the screen. Okay. So why it is important to understand data warehousing concepts, right? I will give a small example. We all know max subject, right? Mathematics. And many of the uh, students or parents tell it's a scoring subject. Max is a scoring subject that you can score maximum marks. At the same time, there is a other version is also there. Maths is a tough subject. I don't understand much of it, whatever I do, right? Only difference is that whoever understand the basics or fundamentals about the mathematics well at the early stage, right? And the subsequent classes when they grow up or engineering or in the secondary grades, it becomes very easy for them. Same applies to the our data analytics course also, right? When we say data analyst, right, his job is to visualize the data, right, in a meaningful and visual images and all those things. Now, for that one, he should be having a strong understanding about the how data is organized. If I look into a database, right, he need to understand, okay, why we have that many databases, or why we have a database for sales, why we have a database for marketing. Again, within the database, there would be different tables, like within our house, like we would be having different rooms. So what is the purpose of each room? Similarly, what is the purpose of each and every table? And what kind of information is being stored in that table? How can I use that particular column within the table? Okay. Suppose a organization want to know what is their total sales, right? Then a data analyst should be having a understanding, okay, within the sales database, which table I need to refer, and within that table, which column I need to learn. I need to pick. So these kind of things, right? We will get a full clarity when we have a understanding about the data warehousing, right? And it is again very simple topic. Like we all see the warehouses, right? Where we use it, a place where it helps us to keep all our raw material or finished goods at one place in an organized manner, right? Similarly, a warehouse is going to help us to keep all our data in an organized manner. Now, when we say all our data, not only current data, but historical data also, right? So for this one, let me just insert a very simple basic diagram. Okay, I'm going to take a very basic diagram that gives you easy understanding. Okay, this is a very simple and straightforward one. Oh, sorry, maybe, yeah. Okay, now if you see on the left side, right, there are some blocks are there. Now just remember all the databases, right, within the design model or whatever it may be, they are represented with this particular disk, right? Whenever you want to talk about the database or represent a database, right, this is the symbol that we will use, right? Now within the database, right, we are going to have the different tables because database is like house. Okay, without rooms it is not going to do anything. Now shapes, and this is the tables, right? Within the database we are going to have multiple tables, right? Now on the left side we are going to have data sources which are like operational systems. Now when you say operational systems, say it's an organization, right, there would be HR system would be there where they are going to capture the employee details like complete employee information, is a name, date of birth, joining date, leave date, all those things. There would be another table that is going to capture all the salary related things. How much salary is given for each and every employee in a month. That can be like a transactional table in the HR system, right? Because when you see for HR system giving the salaries, giving, paying their bonus, all those things comes as a transactions, right? Now we are having another operational system. Now this can be a sales, okay, sales database, wherein it is capturing all the sales on day-to-day sales, right? So here, what kind of tables we can have? A customer table, right, which is having the information related to the all the customers, and a table that is going to have the capturing the transactions. Now here the transaction means the exchange happened, goods, suppose a goods is sold and money is come back to the organization, that kind of transactions, okay? Whereas in HR system, the transaction means company is paying as a salaries, allowance, all those things. So logically, the table name can be transactions, but the information that is storing differs. Okay, we need to understand that level of knowledge in the databases. Okay, now these things, operational systems, right, which are used to capture all our day-to-day activities, right? We are calling it as online transactional systems. Okay, processing system, sorry. Okay, in a short, OLTP, right? So all these are called as online transactional processing system. Let me merge this cell so that it would be easy for you to see. Okay. As simple as it is that whatever the systems, and these systems are like same databases and all those things. Now, over a period of time, the volumes are increasing and there is a issue with the performance of these particular operational online transactional systems, right? So then it comes, okay, guys, let us do one thing, right? We will simply take a copy at the end of the day. Say today's business is completed at the end of the day. So which means let me take a copy of it and then just 1 second. Yeah. Let me take a copy of all the transactions happened on that day, right? We also term it as CDC, change data capture. That means whatever the changes happen. Say today, this is a new system. We got 10 records. We have captured them. And tomorrow, out of the 10 records, 3 records has an updates. So that means we are going to capture those 3 records and any new record, those are inserted. Okay. Now within the warehouse, we are going to store the data in a summarized manner. Now, when you say summarized manner, right? Say I'm going to aggregate total day-wise sales. What is the total sales happened on today? What is the total sales happened tomorrow? What is the monthly sales? So we summarize and we pay summarized data. At the same time, we keep the raw data also as it is. Now, why we keep the raw data as it is? Suppose in future, if we got a new requirements games, then we can simply take this raw data and use it. At the same time, we are also going to store metadata. When you say metadata means information about what kind of data we are storing, right? Now, over a period of time, if I simply creating multiple tables, but I don't have a track of them, right? Normally, if you see, especially for the banking organizations, right? We need to make sure time to time we are updating to the regulatories that what kind of data we are storing and how it is being used. And we also need to show the regulatories that what is the data lineage. That means a data collected from the customer till where it is flowing. Okay. European regulatories are there that if a customer says that, okay, I'm closing my account from your bank, now I don't want to keep any of my information in your bank. That means we need to make sure in all our systems that particular customer data is removed. By any chance, if it is there and if regulators caught it, then we may get a fines. Okay. So to simplify this identification process, how we are collecting data and where we are using it or in which all system we are storing this metadata helps us, right? So considering we are keeping the summarized data or aggregated data, right? And that is being used in the analysis, we call this online analytical processing systems. Okay. This terminology is a old one, but definitely still it is intact. Okay. So online transactional systems, right? That is going to online transactional systems that is going to take care of all the business day-to-day activities and online analytical processing system that is going to help the data analyst, business analyst, or people who want to drill down machine learning, all those things going to help us. Okay. Now within the data warehouse, we have a concept called data mart. Now data mart is a subset of data warehouse. Okay. Say I have some XYZ tables, right, which is having data related to all the departments. Now purchasing departments are not interested about all those information. They want to focus on how the things are happening in their department so that we can create a view. Okay, not a copy. When we say view, that means it's like logical uh, object that we create where it in turn hits to the main database and give the results. Okay. A data mart is a subset of data warehouse, right? It has the all the features like data warehouse. Okay. And it is going to have a different for each and every department on which analysis would be done. Okay. So when I say what is the purpose of data warehousing, right? Let me show you the article. I'm going to share you this article because I want to clearly show what is the information that I'm going to share you so that you can quickly understand and read it. Okay. So after each and every class, right, we are going to send a mail, right, with class number. What is the topics we covered and our batch date, right? In this, we are going to have the class recording link and also some key articles. Those are required to refresh your knowledge, right? Now let me open this one. Now if you see here, just I'm repeating what we had discussed. Like a data warehouse is a central repository of information that can be analyzed to make more informed decisions, right? Data flows into data warehouse from transactional systems, relational and other typical or regular cans. Business analysts, data engineers, data scientists, and decision maker access three business intelligence tools. Now, when you say business intelligence tools, right, it can be Power BI, it can be Tableau, right, it can be SQL assistants, all those things, and other analytics, right? Data and analytics have become indispensable to business to stay competitive. Business users rely on reports, dashboards, and analytical tools, right? And try to understand why I'm reading each and every line because this is very important. The fundamentals or foundations, right? We should be very clear, right? If you want to make sure you are looking for a long-time career in data analyst, learn as much as possible about the basics and basic things, right? So that you don't have a doubt when you are trying to analyze the data. Okay, how come this data is present in this table? Why this data is looking that like that? To clarify all those things, right? And in a simple, I'm not going to entirely like what is the benefits of using data warehouse, informed decision making, consolidated data from many sources, historical data, data quality, consistency, and accuracy is very, very important, right? Whenever we are collecting the data, right, at the source itself, it is very important that the right level of controls and checks are there, right? So that the data quality is very good. Because just think of it, the data collected from the source is not accurate or they are not serious. So once we reach it to the analytical part and then we found out some anomalies, then again, if we want to correct the data means we need to go to the source systems. Source systems, again, they need to go to the client or customers, right, who provided that information. So that means our overall time would be exponentially increases. So it is good at the data origin, we have the right level of controls, right? Separation of analytical processing from transactional databases, which improves performance of both, right? Similarly, there are some buzzing words like data warehouse, databases, and data lakes, right? In a simple, when we say databases, even I have some kind of images also. Let me show you, I think, in the LinkedIn. I'm not sure whether I can quickly get that link or not. It's not a, I don't need to put funny images, that images of, mm, I- um, no. Okay, okay, I will try to get some links for that one. Let me get back to here. Okay. Now, whenever we say data warehousing, right? It is going to be consisting of databases and tables where it is going to have in an organized fashion, right? Now, when we say data lake, it is going to be a combination of files, unstructured and semi-structured data also. Let me get it here. Insert shapes, like some files, right? Now, lakehouse is consisting of structured, semi-structured information also, like this. Now, a combination of all these things can be considered as data lakehouse. Let me remove this filling thing. Fill, no fill. Yeah, like this. Okay. Is it clear with data warehouse fundamentals and VL helps in OLTP and OLAP, right? Now, there are two great scientists, W.H. Inmon and Ralph Kimball, right? So, they have proposed how this data warehouse to be built, right? So now what they have suggested, let us see that one. I'm just going to show you an image, right? Now what the Kimball has suggested is, if you take within the organization, right, then there would be lot of departments, right? And each and every department, right, they are going to use their own softwares, right? If you see HR, right, there would be HR software system. Similarly, if you see the finance, they would be having a tally system, right? And some small departments may use simple Excel sheets, files, or whatever it may be. Correct? Now, what Kimball has suggested is start with each and every department, right? Or give it the source department and create a data mart on top of it, right? Now, when you say data mart, as I told you, right, data mart itself is a data warehouse. That means keep a database to store all the historic information. First thing. Second thing, store the summarized values, okay, and having the metadata information. So, what Kimball has suggested is start with one department, right, and create a data mart for them, and slowly create data mart for others, and then integrate all those things at your enterprise level. Right? This is Kimball's model of proposition. Now, what Kimball suggested is this is an iterative method so that you don't need to put more cost at the initial, right? But and you can achieve all your databases or all your source systems can be pulled into the data warehouse. On top of it, you can create a reporting. It is like a Scrum methodologies. If you see that what it says, break the your business outcomes into the user stories, right? Actionable user stories, and start working on with each end user story, and have an incremental releases, all those things, right? So in that way, now what Kimball suggested is start with one source system or one department, get a data mart created, and then integrate all those data marts, right? Whereas Inmon said that the vice versa. What he suggested is, okay, whatever the source systems I am having, right? Get everything into the single data warehousing. I don't want to create an individual data marts initially. I want to get all the source system into a single technology stack or single platform. We also term it as enterprise data warehousing or enterprise data platforms, right? And many organization, even my organization also now working on this one to get all the systems into the cloud, AWS, right? And then create individual data marts. Now, when it comes to the cloud world, we also term it as a data products, right? A data mart represents each and every business lines focused what is the requirement. Suppose a HR want to know how much monthly salaries are we are giving, how much additional bonuses we are giving, right? Or how much expenses are incurring on miscellaneous costs. All those kind of information when the HR system would be interested. Suppose if it is a manufacturing department, right? They may be interested on how the raw material cost is fluctuating, right? What is the day-to-day raw material costs? Similarly, how much quantity of production is completing on day wise? What is the day-to-day production quantities? What is the monthly quantities? Are we meeting the targets? So this kind of analysis is required for a manufacturing department or production department, right? So what Inman suggested, from all the operational systems which are collecting the data, right? Get all those into the single platform, right? And from there, create a separate data marts and do a reporting on top of it. Okay, this is Inmon's suggestion. Now, both these suggestions are successful, right? It's based on the organization's, I mean, budgets, right? And size of the organization. Those all things plays a crucial role on deciding which to be used, right? Now, let me show you a comparative analysis of these two things for easy understanding. That will give, say, quick insights about both of them, right? Is it ads covering the page? Okay, fine. Now, if you see here, introduced by Ralph Kimball, that's why he has kept his name, right? Like how Newton has kept his laws as Newton laws, similarly in Mon. Approach. Now, what the approach of Kimball is that it's a bottom-up approach for implementation, right? Which means within the organization, we are going to create a data mart for each and every department on the ground level, and then we take it at the enterprise level to the top level. That's why the Kimball approach is bottom up approach, right? Similarly, the Inmon's approach is top down approach, because we are going to sit at the enterprise level, and we are going to build a data warehousing, and we will give a individual copies to each and every department, right? Now the next one is data integration. It focuses on individual business areas, right? As you see in the diagram, We sit with individual business domains or the departments, right? And we will focus on creating a data mart. Whereas for the Inmon, an enterprise wide area, I mean, we need to understand how things are aligned. Build time, it is efficient and take less time. Yes, because we are sitting with one department and knowing it's in and out, easy, and we do it. It's a complex and consumes a lot of time, right? As you see, right, it is going to be complex. The reason is because we need to integrate, right, with all the things. That is going to be complex and time. Coming to the cost, it has a iterative step by step cost effective, right? Because we don't need to put initial cost, huge cost on it. So that's why it is an iterative. Initial cost is huge and the development cost is low. See, this is the second point is advantages. I mean, initial cost is used means because whenever we are discussing about the enterprise things, right? We need to get all the department key SMEs, key leads at one place. And we need to have a lot of discussions how everything can be integrated, right? So which means the initial cost is huge, but the once things are finalized, design is finalized, then the development cost is low. It does not need such a skill, but generic team will do the job. So who have a good understanding about the HR, right? He can simply build the data mart for the HR, right? It needs specialized skill to make work, right? Now, since we are going to build a enterprise data warehousing, correct? So which means the person should be having a clear understanding about how each and every department are interrelated, right? How the manufacturing production department is correlated with the HR department, how the HR is department with other, right? How the finance interacts with the HR department. All these kind of understanding should be there. So specialized skill is needed. Here maintenance is difficult. So this is the negative point, right? Our concerns for Kimball methodologies. Here maintenance is difficult because we would be having multiple data marts, right? So a sales department, right, they would be creating an employee table. Similarly, a production department will create an employee table. HR department will create an employee table. So that means there may be chances by the time when we are integrating all these things centrally, we can have a repeated or redundant data also. So the maintenance would be difficult. Here the maintenance is easy, right? Since at the enterprise level, I am pulling all the departments at one place. That means I will say, okay, for employee table, for employees, I'm going to create one table. All of you refer that table for your respective department related employees by creating a column that have the department information. So in that way, our tables would be minimal and structured oriented. So that is the reason the maintenance is easy here, right? And the data model, it prefers data to be denormalized model. It prefers data to be normalized model. Guys, I want your full attention here, right? To let you know what it mean by denormalized and normalized, right? Because this is going to be traveling along with us till we retire or till we leave this particular technology. And it is very important that we have a crystal clear understanding about what is denormalized and what is normalized. Okay. Kimball, it prefers data to be denormalized. And Inmon, it prefers data to be normalized. Now, to explain this one, right? Let me save this one. I already have a, a data sheet, right? Table that is I predefined. I'm just opening this one. I will get more a copy. Okay. Tim, just see this first table. Okay, this is a sales table, right? It is having a transaction, 7 transactions, and it is having a detailed information about the product name, customer who purchased it and their address, and more details about the what is that product, how much quantity, and what they purchased, right? Now, if you see this particular table, right, it's a denormalized table. Now, when we say denormalized table, what it means is the maximum information would be collected in the single table. It can be details related to the product, or it can be details related to the customer address and all those things. Okay. Now, operational systems also prefer to be denormalized because whenever we enter into a store, right, whenever I give a transaction ID, right, quickly I need to get the information what happened on that transaction, like its address or more about products and everything. Okay. Now, what is the problem with the denormalized tables is if as a customer, right, if you see here Harish or Mitchell, as a customer, if they are going to that particular store and they are purchasing, right, say they are I mean the store is nearby their house, so they regularly visit that particular store and they purchase something. Every time they purchase, when they are entering their customer address and everything, that means we need lot of disk space to store the data, which is costlier. And the data we are storing is like a repeated value, same thing. That means data redundancy increases with no business value. Okay. What is the benefit it is getting is you can retrieve the records very faster. But at the same time, we have data getting redundant. Okay. Now, how can we mitigate this particular problem? All right. Now, if you see the below one, it's a normalized form. Now, what normalized form is do? Okay, if a customer is going to be visiting regularly, let me store his details in the customer table, like below. Customer table and customer address table. Okay. Similarly, if products are there, now products we are going to do, multiple people purchase same product, right? So instead of every time I'm giving the product details, like as it is here, I am going to create a products table, right? And I'm going to give a unique number so that I can uniquely represent each and every product, and more details about that product I will store in the product table, right? Now, what sales table is going to do is instead of capturing if complete details of products and customers, we capture their unique reference number, right? So in this way, the initial, right, the quick advantage I am getting is instead of storing 20 or 30 characters, right, I would be storing a simple number, maybe 5 digit or 10 digit, not more than that one, right? So in a normalized form, right, the data storage is smarter and we are exponentially reducing the space utilization, right? All the analytical systems follow the normalized approach so that whatever the history load or whatever the analytical part they are storing, it would not take much of the information. Okay. Now, what we call these tables in the data warehousing terminology, right? The main table, which is going to capture the events or observations, we call it as a fact table, right? And this fact table requires a support, right, of other tables, which we call them as dimension tables. Okay. Now, Let me show a nice diagrammatic representation of this one. Yeah. And the Power BI is the latest technology, right? But if there is a one word, it shows, let me show you that one. Understanding star schema. Ha. See, star schema is a mature modeling approach widely adopted by relational data warehouses. It requires modelers to classify their model table in either dimension or fact. Okay. Now, dimension table describe business entities like things you meet, like when you say products, people, places, and concepts. That is what we have seen here, right? Dimension tables, customer address, customer profile, product, all those things. Fact table stores observations or events, can be orders, stock balance, exchange, temperature, and all those things, right? Now, if you show this diagram, if you see this diagram, right, it will clearly tells you a sales table is a fact table which is going to capture the details about the sales or observations, right? Or stock pricing and all those things. And it would be supported or surrounded by the dimension tables where it can get more information, right? I'm going to store a product ID in the fact table, a single ID. And whenever I need a further details, more details about the product, I'm going to hit to the products table and get that information. Okay. Generally, dimension table contains relatively small number of rows. Okay. Suppose if I take a product, maybe within my organization or my uh, company, I would be having 1,000 products. That means this table may not change. But fact table, on the other hand, can contain large number of rows and continues to grow over time, right? Now here, a sales table, right? For those 1,000 products, we would be having daily lot many transactions are happening, sales are happening. So that means the sales table or a fact table would be having large number of rows, continuously grows it, right? And as a data analyst, right, we should be having a crystal clear understanding about these schemas. And since it looks like a star, we call it as a star schema. Okay. And what star schema helps is to store the data in a normalized form. Now there is a simple description also provide normalization wise denormalization, right? Normalize is the term used to describe data that's stored in a way that reduces repetitious or data, right? That is what we are achieving here, right? So we, by going in a normalized form, we are reducing the data repetitiveness. Consider a table of product that has a unique key volume like product key and other columns that describes the product characters like the product's color, name, size, and everything, right? A sales table is considered normalized when it stores only keys like product key, right? Now, if you see a normalized table, I'm going to store only the product key. So if you see 594 product one, two times it is repeated. But since it is normalized, I'm just storing one column. Whereas in denormalized form, I'm going to keep further details about that product category, color, and size. That means almost not only just one column, whenever the transaction happens, four more columns are also repeated with the data, and we are reducing this in a normalized form. Okay. The advantage of normalized form is that data retrieval is faster because whenever you fire a select query, all the things are present in one table only, right? Think of it, if your mother asks you to bring some items. If all those items are within the kitchen, right, you can quickly get it done. But the item that our mother has asked us, they are spread across different rooms, means time will take. So data retrieval from the normalization tables will take more time, but the advantage it is having is it reduces the data repeatedness or redundancy. Okay, so this is all about normalization and denormalization and star schema, which is going to have facts and dimensions. Okay, now I have one more thing here. Now I have a customer address table here, right? Which I am storing name, address, city, and state. Now we all know, right? Within the city, we would be having hundreds of customers, right? Thousands of customers. Now for instead of writing city name and state name, so if I take a Texas city, right? Then I'm going to have repeatedly Texas city name and the state name, right? Repeatedly, like 1,000 times. So why to repeat that one? Maybe I can have a further city table, right? Where I'm going to store about the city details, that what is the name, what is its state, and what is its country. And I'm going to store the primary key of the city in the address table, right? Now what happening here? Fact table referring a dimension table, this dimension table further referring another dimension table. Okay, so when we have multi-level, then we call it as a snowflake schema, right? Since it's like a parent, child, and grandchild, right? Let me show you this one. Where is the diagram? Yeah, see, suppose a fact table, right? It is having a products dimension. Now this products table again referring to the subcategory, right? So if there is a relation, multiple relation, then it is called a snowflake example, like parent, child, and grandchild. Okay. And another thing, important thing we need to know is this one. Okay. The relation between dimension and fact tables is one to many. That means if a fact table is referring for a record in the dimension, right, it should get a unique record, right? Suppose a fact table is having customer ID. Now, if I am going to the customer dimension table, right, logically, I should be having one unique record for the customer table, right? Sorry, customer. If I am having multiple, then I don't know this transaction belongs to which customer. So the database also follows, the schema follows one to many relation. Okay, fine. So we have covered Inmon and Kimball, right? And from their theories that we seen data warehouse, data marts, and snowflakes and star, and the dimensions and denormalize, right? Data normalization and denormalization, dimensions and fact tables, right? Okay. So let me pause the class here.